I started working on this video 1 or 2 weeks ago. There are two historic like related videos that I want to do. Every single time that vanillas have been meta in One Piece. This video has at least 12 hours of research, 2 hours of recording, and over 80 hours of just editing alone. Every time you see one of these little animations, it's maybe 10 or 15 seconds long. Each of those took me about an hour at minimum, and there are many of those spread throughout the video because I wanted there to be visual representations of the card interactions for people that aren't familiar. I also found footage from a lot of the events that these vanillas were played in. I had to filter through, I want to say, anywhere from 200 to 300 events and maybe 500 or 600 deck list to find every single case of a vanilla scene play. If you don't see a vanilla featured in this video, it means that that vanilla never made a top 8 appearance. I don't know why I locked in and went so hard on a video about vanillas specifically, so I expect this video not to perform well whatsoever. So if you guys could combat that by dropping a like on the video, I'd greatly appreciate it. But with that being said, enjoy the video. Starting in OPO1 Romance Dawn, the only thing that exists in this point is this set, as well as the 4 starter decks that came out prior to it, and those starter decks were Kid, Luffy, Kaido, and Crocodile. As far as the actual meta goes, Kid and Law are seeing play, however, neither of them are running vanillas. There are 3 leaders that are meta in this set, however, that are running vanillas, and those leaders in question are Mono Red Luffy. He sees his first top. April 24th of 2023, he's running Ben Beckman. The list is being piloted by Gurvinder Paul, Lucky Singh. He makes 8th place at Treasure Cup Sydney. This is a very different type of One Piece that's being played at this point. So Luffy goes first. On 7 out, he plays his vanilla, uses his leader ability, puts 1 Dawn on himself, and then he swings for 6k. And that's just good enough back then. That's the entire play. It's like, I played a big body and I kind of hit you, and you countered or you didn't, and that's kind of it. And that is like, it's true caveman One Piece back then. There is a feature match that happens, for example, back in OPO1. I'll go ahead and show it now, but literally we see a player who has an 8-drop Kid on the board. They play a 5-drop Law blocker. They bounce Kid back to their hand, and then even the commentators have no idea what's going on there. So
that is bizarre.
Interesting. I believe he might not.
He's trying to. Yeah, he's activating Law to re-add the 8-drop.
That is -8 Dawn.
What
to
the
play
heck
Bonnie.
just happened?
yeah, I think it's fair to say that we don't, the game's not really figured out at this point. People are still trying to figure it out as they go. But the cream of the crop floats to the top, and in OPO1, Luffy floated to the top running Ben Beckman. There are 2 other leaders in this set that are also seeing play with vanillas specifically, and that is Doflamingo. Doflamingo is running 4-cost 6k Pacifista. It is not a Warlord, so you cannot cheat it off of leader ability. However, you can cheat it out off of Bart Kuma, who you can cheat out off of leader ability. And it makes a 50-50 that the opponent has to consider. The body does come out tapped, so you can swing at it. However, if they do have the Pacifista in their hand, you are punished because you've lost your swing that you could have thrown into the leader's face. And now, on the following turn, when they take their turn, instead of them hitting you with a 5k Kuma, they will hit you with a 6k Pacifista. He is also the person playing 5-cost 7k Virgo. Kind of like how Luffy just played a Ben Beckman on 7. This is a list where, or a time where Dofi could just play a 7k vanilla past turn and be content with that. The removal color at this point of the game is actually red, funnily enough, and like, we're using Jet Pistol and Otamas, so we're killing 8Ks, and that's why red's one of the only colors that's able to out 8-drop Kid consistently at this point in history. There's a lot less removal you have to fear. If you ever play into a color that's not red, your body's just gonna stick, so you're able to play vanillas back then and get away with it. And then we have one other leader that's playing vanillas at this point in history, and that is Kaido. What is standard in Kaido at this point is 4-cost 6k page 1, because it can be cheated off of Ulti, who's at 2k. You just -1 Dawn, cheat the page out 1 out for free, so on 4 Dawn you get 2 bodies, a 5k and a 6k. That's actually really good. The highest placing we see for it is 2nd place, again at Treasure Cup Sydney, and this is being done by Stefan Nash. And then we have 2 other vanillas that are seen play in OPO1 and Kaido. The first one is a tech, it's Babanuki, 5-cost 7k. The more standard vanilla being ran at this point is 6-cost 8k Fukurokuju, actually. It's a 6-cost 8k, and the highest placement we see for it the earliest is Panda, who tops at 5th place, running Kaido with this vanilla in his list. To bring this to a close, OPO1, we have Luffy, Dopey, and Kaido. Those are our only leaders playing vanillas. There are 2 other leaders that are topping in Kid and Law, however, neither of them are running vanillas. And we move on to OPO2. We still have Kaido topping with vanillas. Dofi is still topping with vanillas. Luffy is still topping, however, Luffy has cut his vanillas, opting to run cards like Vista, leaning heavier into removal. So there is one other leader that was previously topping with vanillas. Dofi gains a vanilla of his own, so he now has a new 4-6 vanilla that is a Warlord, so he can now keep out 4-cost 6k Gecko Moria off of his leader ability. Now, while this set does lose Luffy as a vanilla representative, that's the word, my god. We do gain 4 new leaders in his place. We gain what is probably the most dominant vanillas will ever be in One Piece history, and that is Whitebeard. The first 2 to 3 events that Whitebeard is in, he's playing vanillas like 4-cost 6k Atmos, 4-cost 6k Frankie, 4-cost 6k Monkey D. Luffy, and 5-cost 7k Kingdu. You'll notice there is one name missing there, and that's Thatch. Thatch is almost synonymous with vanilla Whitebeard. He is almost like the face of that deck, which makes it very interesting to see that Thatch actually didn't see play in a Whitebeard list until the 3rd Western event. A lot of people always think that Moby Dick was the most oppressive version of Whitebeard in the very beginning. That's actually not the case. So what actually ends up happening is Moby Beard, or Dick Beard, or whatever you want to call it, right? Boat Beard, not the Dick Beard. Boat Beard is what it was called. In the East, they were playing Boat Beard. There was actually a big debate in the East, but it was between Boat Beard and Kinemon. Those were their 2 best leaders, and Kinemon was actually the better performing leader for the first 2 months of the set. It's not until the 3rd month of the set that Whitebeard actually starts to compete for that top 1 title. It's not until we actually come to the West where Whitebeard becomes a tier 0 deck, and the reason Whitebeard becomes tier 0 is because for whatever reason, I could not tell you why it happened this way, but we actually did not play Boatbeard. We actually played Strawbeard in the very beginning, and Kinemon was not able to keep up with Strawbeard. So we forced Kinemon out of our meta within the first 1 to 2 weeks, which is one of the it is the earliest example of the Western meta and the Eastern meta not matching up whatsoever. It's not until the 3rd event in, 6-cost AK Thatch sees a 6th place top at Regional Peoria, Illinois, piloted by Jimmy Sherman. This is our first instance of Thatch seeing play in a top 8 deck list. The other new leader we gained this set is Ivankov. Ivankov is playing 5-cost 7k Crocodile, and this is a good example of what I was saying previously, where vanillas have to be cheated out. They have to be like the cherry on top. Unless you're Whitebeard. Whitebeard's the exception to the rule here, right? But Ivankov is a great example of what is the norm from this point in One Piece history moving forward. You can't play vanilla just to play vanilla. You have to get some kind of bonus. Either the vanilla itself is a bonus, or the vanilla is being cheated out earlier than it should be. We have one other leader in the set. So a leader that previously was not playing vanillas. This might be one of the only instances we see this happen. A leader that previously did not have to play vanillas is not playing vanillas in this set, and that is Law, the Red Green Law. So while I can't speak to what was taking place in the East specifically, I can tell you that in the West, the first instance of a 4-cost 6k Film Zoro seeing play in the Eastern format, it's actually cross AI. It's my fault. It's cross AI.
Drake is good as well, but I preferred having the additional Nami targets by running Zoro, so that's the reason for that.
He is the first instance of Zoro making a top 8 appearance in the Western format, and again, that's Regional Peoria, where he gets first place. He wins the entire thing. While Zoro didn't make any appearances in Red Green Law list up to this point, because this is the 3rd event of the set, he becomes very, very standard moving forward for this set. And then there's one other leader that sees play in this set that's running vanilla now, and that is Zoro. So while Zoro ran no vanillas in OPO1, he's running them in OPO2 because near the end, so we actually end up getting a promo pack. It's the same promo pack that Gordon came out in, where Gordon ended up becoming like a $40, $50 rare card in Red Purple Law way later on down the line. But in that same pack is where we got the 1-cost 3k Sunny-kun. And this was like if I remember correctly, this was like a $15 vanilla back in the day. It was a $15 rare vanilla way back in the day. Maybe even a common, I don't remember exactly, but either way, he had no foiling to him, but he was money regardless. I think if you found somebody nice, they would sell you their Sunny-kun for like $8 maybe. But either way, that brings us to the end of OPO2. At this point, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different leaders running vanillas. Vanillas still have a very healthy place in One Piece. And if we move on to OPO3, Pillars of Strength, Moby Dick is banned. I will say one honorable mention. So this is probably an argument for the strongest vanilla in One Piece history. And the reason I can say that, and it sounds like a joke, but it's actually true, is because Nami comes out, Kabaji gets banned. The thing about it is, and it's obviously a very warranted ban, but they could have went about this one of two different ways. Either they could have banned Kabaji, or they could have banned Moji the vanilla, because at this point in time, only one Kabaji and only one Moji exist. So regardless of which one you ban, they both accomplish the same thing. So I think Bandai missed a very big opportunity here. They could have banned Moji, and it's probably the only time they could have justified banning a vanilla. There will probably never be an instance of a valid argument to ban a vanilla ever again in One Piece history. This was the one time they could have done it, and they chose to ban Kabaji instead. So yeah, that's the only instance in One Piece history of a ban-worthy vanilla. Leaders that were previously topping with vanillas. Whitebeard is still running vanillas. There is one other vanilla that makes a top 8 appearance at this point, that is Speed Jill. She's interchangeable with Atmos. Dopey is still topping with his Gecko vanilla. And then a leader that previously existed that was topping but was not running vanillas and now is Kid. Kid is now playing the film engine. He's playing 3-5 Usopp to cheat off of Brook. He's playing 4-6 Zoro to cheat off of the Luffy, 7-cost Luffy. And he's also running 5-cost 7k Frankie. And Frankie being a 7k means even if you play into red, if they don't have the Otama, then Jet Pistol can't touch it. By OPO3, all the laws are no longer making top 8 with Film Zoro. They've all cut it from their list at this point. Kaido, who's been around since OPO1, finally in OPO3 been power crept out of the game. He's no longer making top 8 appearances. And neither is Ivankov, who came out only one set prior, so he had one set before he fell off, and now he's gone. Now, moving past the leaders that we've already seen up to this point, there are new leaders that enter the meta that are playing vanillas, and those leaders are Crocodile. So funnily enough, Crocodile became a very common presence in OPO4, running the Pacifista engine, and a lot of people know him as the OPO4 leader that ran the Pacifista engine. But what's funny about that is, it looks like as early as OPO3, it was already being done. It was being done by TJ Lee. Now, this wasn't the only vanilla he's running, however. He was also running the 6-cost 8k Dracula Mihawk. It was another big body that they gained to try to contest 8-drop Kid with. We move on to our next leader. We gain Katakuri in this set. What is so interesting about this leader specifically is there's no consensus. So for every other leader, we know vanillas were optimal in what specific sets. Katakuri is the only example of that not being the case, because there's two different vanillas and there's no consensus between all the Katakuri players. And the two vanillas in question are Charlotte Opera, the 4-6. It gets 4th place at TAC Games Online Regional, piloted once again by David Lamb, or maybe it's Long. But a week later, July 15th of 2023, we have 3-cost 5k Peckhams make his first appearance in its 7th place at PlayTCG Online Regional by Isaac Castillo. And from this point forward, the Katakuris, they swap back and forth between Charlotte Opera and Peckhams. There is no consensus. There is no objective correct one. I guess it just comes down to whatever you feel like doing at the end of the day, because neither of them are really outperforming each other either. They're all performing about the same. They're getting about the same amount of tops, the same amount of representation. Yeah, it's just, I don't know, they're both techs. Neither one is a staple. And then we have one other leader that comes out in this set. We have Lucci, July 23rd, so about a week later, at PPG Online Regional by Clayton Hill. 2nd place, we have 4-cost 6k Kumadori seeing play in Lucci, and this is a body that's being cheated out off of the Blue No blocker. So Blue No, if he dies or he gets KO'd, he floats into the Kumadori from the trash that you likely countered with earlier at some point in the game. And that's kind of it for Lucci and his vanillas. Lucci is no longer running vanillas. Now, people are probably wondering, well, how could that be? He gets 5-cost 7k Jabra, and I remember he played that. There's not a single Lucci in OPO4 to ever top running Kumadori or Jabra. So, yeah. That's... I guess Jabra's an honorable mention. One other honorable mention for this set will be 6-cost 8k Kuro. So, I don't know where this propaganda began, where this narrative came from, because it comes up all the time. Like, I feel like in every other stream I have, people always talk about how Kuro used to be meta. Kuro was never meta. So in the entire Western history of One Piece, Kuro has only ever had 2 tops. He's never had a top 8 placement. And the instance that we see here, so Kuro gets 33rd place at Regional Liverpool by Luke Hubbard. It's a 6-cost 8k target that you can restand. So you can swing with it, restand it, and swing with it again. And this is about like the best that Kuro's ever done. I'm not sure where this propaganda comes from that Kuro is meta, or that Kuro is good, or anything like that at all. I don't know. It's something that I've always like had to debate up to this point, because people always say otherwise, but no, that's just never been the case. And here we have the data backing it. Like, he's had 2 tops. With the leaders that were previously performing that are still topping with the vanillas, Whitebeard is still running vanillas, Kid is also still running vanillas, as is Crocodile, and Katakuri, who also gains another vanilla. He gains 2 actually. So September 30th at Regional Knoxville, Tennessee, Jonas Abraham. So a name that we all become very, very, very familiar with in OPO5, the Native American, the North American champion. Yeah, he becomes our representative for Worlds. He's running 5 cost 6k Randolph as well as 6 cost 8k Charlotte Perospero, and he gets 5th place. So we have 2 vanillas at this point in history that are now, see, this is their first top 8 appearance in a Katakuri deck list, and it's being piloted by Jonas. Before he is a big household name, he's making waves at this point, so a lot of people know him as the Katakuri player that switched to an L. So he becomes known as the yellow player because he switched to a different yellow deck and then did about as well as like humanly possible, right? Which makes it even like crazier when people see him switch to Sakazuki later on down the line. But either way, we have one final leader that was topping in the previous set, running vanillas. That was Doflamingo. Blue Doflamingo is no longer topping at this point with his vanillas. Actually, he's not topping at all. He doesn't make a single top 8 appearance in OPO4. However, he does as green purple Doflamingo. There's a lot of arbitrary vanilla tops we're going to see here. For example, vanillas will be making their first appearance that were interchangeable with vanillas that we've already seen in the past. For example, September 30th of 2023, Robert Gatica tops 5th place at Regional Santiago. He's running 3 cost 5k Baccarat, and it's a body cheat off of Brook. She's interchangeable with 3 cost 5k Usopp, however. So again, this just comes down to preference. So this is a new vanilla that we see that it could have never topped. It would have never changed anything because they're both 3 cost 5k vanillas that are interchangeable. They're both searchable off of Buena Fiesta and like Nami Searcher. So another instance of this, however, is 4 cost 6k Bins. This is pretty much our reskin of the Zoro that we saw Sling play in Red Green Law. So there's literally no benefit to running this over the Zoro. Moving into OPO 4.5, we have Red Purple Luffy. So what I found very interesting about this is because he was a leader that was running a vanilla that I'd never seen him before. This is actually me first finding out that he even did this. November 18th of 2023, Giovanni Salvatore Oliva gets 1st place at Regional Liverpool, running 6 cost 8k Thatch. Thatch, who has become the face of vanillas and Whitebeard, was also seeing play in Luffy at this point. Although I guess this was not standard because you never see it again outside of him. Only Giovanni's done this. However, November 25th of 2023, so about a week later, 3rd place Regional Barcelona, Luca Panini is running 5 cost 7k Babanuki as well as 5 cost 7k Kingdu. So those are interchangeable with each other. I'm not sure why he chose to run both, but either way, he's done that. And then we have one other leader, that is Red Purple Law. On November 18th of 2023 at Regional Liverpool, Benjamin Gayrod, I'm not sure. I'm just reading the letters that are presented before me. But he gets 2nd place playing Page 1 off of Ulti, much like Kaido used to do as far back as OPO1. And that is the end of OPO4, and that brings us into OPO5. Zoro is playing 1 cost 3k Sanji, which again is interchangeable with Sunny-kun. So Sanji is officially inaugurated into the Vanilla Hall of Fame. He's kind of top 8. There he is. And then the leaders that were previously topping with vanillas that still are, well, there's none of them. All of them, well, we'll get into it. So Whitebeard is still topping, but he's no longer running vanillas. The same applies to Katakuri. Katakuri is also no longer running vanillas. Neither is Red Purple Luffy. And then we also have some leaders that were running vanillas that now at this point in OPO5, they're not even able to top 8 anymore. So power creep has gotten to the point where these leaders can no longer compete. Film Kid is no longer making top 8. Crocodile's no longer making top 8. Green Purple Dofi somehow just kind of disappears. It's crazy because Green Purple Dofi was one of the best performing leaders up to this point. Only one set later, he doesn't make a single top 8, not even one. And Red Purple Law, which is very, very interesting because if you're a regular watcher of the Small Hat channel, you're very familiar with this leader already. And the take I had regarding this leader that made so many people so angry, and I ended up being right about. Law is the most underwhelming of the ones, because both the problems that me and Brandon have addressed are both the ones that can be resolved later on down the line with newer cards. I do think that like Law even has like the highest ceiling of all of them moving forward, and I think that maybe in the future Law might even end up being the best of the three. Purple Law was a leader who had a very overtuned leader ability, so he's obviously going to be very, 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 very good at some point. Only in OPO5, Red Purple Law is no longer topping, and then he starts topping later on down the line when he gets the support like Kid Killer and Race Max. Literally, exactly what I said would end up happening. Anyway, though, moving on to leaders that do come out in OPO5 that are running vanillas, we have Vanel. December 16th of 2023, 3-cost 5k Holy is now seeing play. He gets 4th place at Treasure Cup Hanover, piloted by Denise Plantical. Holy is just a body. I'm not sure if it's Holy or Holly. I see a lot of people say Holly. I say Holy. I could have sworn the card only had one L in it. But literally the deck list I'm looking at, it says Holly. There's 2 L's in it. But then when I go to Google Images, I'm seeing it with 1 L. We also gain Purple Luffy. In 3rd place, William Rodriguez is running 4-cost 6k page 1. This is normal, right? We've come to expect this from purple decks at this point. But he's also running 4-cost 6k Apu, 4-cost 6k Bins, 4-cost 6k Sphinx. I have no idea why he did this. He's only running a total of 4-cost 6k vanillas. That could have been a playset of any one of those 4. But either way, he's inflated the vanilla numbers quite a bit here by running 3 different names. And then 7-cost 9k Urashima, who, funnily enough, is probably one of my favorite vanillas in this game because I think he looks so shit. This is the first time in One Piece history since like OPO1, OPO2 actually, ever since Whitebeard. If you take Whitebeard out of the equation though, since OPO1 where a leader could play a vanilla and pass turn, but that's because Purple Luffy does it in a different way. So if he goes first, he can ramp with his leader ability twice. He can play Urashima as early as turn 3. So basically, you're supposed to be on 5 Dawn at that point in the game, but you're on 7 because you ramped with leader ability twice. So you're essentially doing what is the equivalent of playing a 5-cost 9k from your opponent's perspective, because they are equipped to handle a 5-cost 7k at that point in the game, and you've stuck a 9k on your what should be your 5 Dawn turn. And then we have one other leader that comes out a little after the set. We have Green Uta, February 17th on 2024. She makes 4th place at the Raid and Trade Online Regional Treasure Cup by Andre Leal, running Usopp, 3-cost 5k, as a target to cheat off of Brook. You'll be able to cheat them out in some kind of way unless you're purple. If you're purple, you just play vanilla, but if you're not purple, then yeah, then vanillas are kind of hitting a wall for you at this point. Now we hit OPO6, and this is the worst set for vanillas in all of One Piece history. In the previous set, there was 4 vanillas that were topping. There are 4 leaders that were topping in vanillas. That was Uta and now Luffy and Zoro. In this set, Uta is still topping with Usopp, and now has cut Holy entirely. Luffy and Zoro are not even making top 8 anymore. So we've gone from 4 decks to 1. In a lot of previous sets, like the last one, we at least get new leaders that can play vanillas, or we get new vanillas that can see play in old leaders. In this set, no new vanillas come out that see play, and no old vanillas are seeing play in new leaders that have come out. So OPO6 starts with Uta topping, it ends with Uta topping, and there are no other vanillas. There's no other vanilla representation for the entirety of this sub. This is the beginning of the vanilla power creep. And then we go into OPO7. So in OPO7, we only had one leader that was running vanillas that was topping. That was Uta. Uta can no longer top 8 in OPO7. However, a previous leader that used to top 8 with vanillas is Blue Doflamingo. He's back. He's not running any new vanillas. It's the same one as before. It's the Gecko 4-6 vanilla. And that's kind of it. Now, for the sake of OPO7 not being as bad as OPO6, I will include one honorable mention. And I will include it specifically because while it did not make top 8, it got as close as it possibly could have. Norman Tran gets 9th place on August 3rd running Green Black Perona. We have 5-cost 7k Mountain God. It's a vanilla that is being ran because on 4 Dawn you can play Hiyori. You can sack the Hiyori, draw a card, and play Mountain God from your hand. You're basically playing a 4-7 and drawing a card. And that is why that is good enough to get 9th place at the very least, right? Or I guess at the very most, because that is the most Perona did in the set. But either way, it is the only instance of it happening in the set. It's the only instance of Perona running a vanilla, so that's kind of it there. That is the entirety of OPO7. We had to cheat a little bit to get a second name in there, but we did it. But realistically, in this set, as far as consistent tops, it's only Blue Doki, and that is literally it. We move on from OPO7 500 years in the future into OPO8 2 Legends. Purple Luffy makes a return back into the meta once again. He is running 4 cost 6k page 1, so he's not running any new vanillas, but either way, Jorge Recable gets first place at Regional Sao Paulo on October 5th, 2024, running the page 1 that we've seen play since OPO1. The only leader that was topping with vanillas in the previous set was Doflamingo. Doflamingo is still topping, however, at this point he's already cut 4 cost vanilla Gecko from his list, so not even Doflamingo is running his vanilla anymore, so we are once again at 1 deck in the meta. However, we do gain 1 new leader, Calgara, and Calgara is running 3 cost 5k Genbo, 5k Holy, 6 cost 8k Calgara. Calgara is a body that you cheated out off of leader ability, then you play the Nolan to heal alive. This is another leader that I made a prediction about that was not very well received. I'll just go into OPO9 to go ahead and confirm it. Moving to OPO9, Emperor's in the New World, he's gone. I'm not sure why so many people thought Calgara would be so insanely good, but he ended up being exactly as good as I said he would, so people gave me a lot of shit for that too, but either way. So there was a brief stint where Purple Luffy was no longer running vanillas. OPO9 would have been the first instance of no vanillas seeing play in the meta. However, December 21st of 2024, a player named Daddy, he registered for this event under the name of Daddy. He gets 6th place at the Booster Box Online Treasure Cup, running 4 cost 6k Usopp. Friendship with 4-6 page 1 is over. 4-6 Usopp is my friend now. So it's basically a play to make on your forward on turn. It's another body that can be grabbed off of your Law Searcher as well as your Zoro Juro. It's also another body to cheat out off of 7 cost Luffy Taro. As far as modern day, the only color that is still running vanillas is Purple Luffy. Yeah. If you have any other ideas for videos you want to see me tackle, any other historical breakdowns you want to see for a specific part of One Piece, let me know. If you want to see me break down a specific set, you want to see me break down a specific other topic, like vanillas in this instance, let me know and I'll go ahead and tackle it, or I'll at least consider it at the very least. You know, if I think it's a good enough idea, then I probably will make a video about it. But either way, with that being said, until next time, I'll see you guys.